Hello everyone, welcome to Sunburned. Albino plays and voices the Ace Attorney Trilogy, episode 53. On the last part of this, I don't know how long this part of the trial is going to be, so maybe it's going to be more than like 40 or 50 minutes, hopefully not, but if it is, then, there'll be 2 episodes before we go to the next case. Good morning, Max. Oh, yeah, good morning, sweeties. You don't seem like your usual sparkling self today. I'm always like this before I go in front of an audience. I'm working up to it. Teehee. Don't get nervous, Maxie. Here, have a glass of milk. Regina. How fabulous! My sweetie pie! My sweetie pie princess! You came to watch my performance today? Of course I did. Mo told me that I should come and watch this. Mo said that? So, what kind of performance will you put on today? Let me guess, you'll fly at the end? It's not that kind of show. Isn't that right, my sweeties? Huh? I think my sweetie pie princess doesn't... Yeah, she doesn't seem to realize what's going on, or even where she is. Well, Max, it looks like it's time to raise the curtain. I'll see you later. Today I'm just a member of the audience. Fabulous. Enjoy yourself out there! Good luck, Max. You're the best! Regina's different, don't you think, Nick? Top of the morning to ya! Everybody, let's get ready to get stuck in legal limbo! How low can you go? Mo. Top of the morning to ya, governor! Top of the morning. That's the ticket! Attacking the day starts with energy in the morning! That the early bird gets the worm, but then again, worms lack higher brain function. Here, Max, I brought you a present. Have some milk. Oh my, thanks. So how are you today, right? Well, I've got the feeling that today I'm going to face off against the real culprit. You mean Acro? Huh? You think he did it? Be careful. He's used to putting his life on the line, literally. He's got guts to spare. If all I've got to worry about is how thin the tightrope is, I'm used to it already. It just means that I won't be able to press him like I can other witnesses. What are you going to do then, Nick? I guess today we'll just have to do without our usual psychological warfare. Today we rely on evidence. It's the only way we'll get past Acro and to the truth. You're right, but it's gonna be tough. Anyways, I want you to make sure that Regina sees it all today. It's important. Then she'll finally have to deal with the reality of what happened to her father. You want us to make sure Regina watches? Yes. That's why I brought her here to court today. What's that supposed to mean? She needs to know that when people die, they don't just become stars. I may be an old-fashioned clown, but I don't believe in people becoming stars. Damn, shit's getting serious. Court is now in session for the trial of Maximilian Galactica. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well. Miss Von Karma, you may proceed with your case. The prosecution would like to revise its previous series of events. What's the meaning of this? We have discovered a new witness, or shall I say, a new eyewitness. One that saw Maximilian Galactica fly off from the scene of the crime. Order! Order! I had a feeling something like this would come up. Due to this revision, we are now prepared to explain how the defendant flew that night. An explanation the prosecution will present if the need so arises. In fact, my detective stayed up all night creating a mock-up of the scene on my orders. Poor Gumshoe. Very well. Please call your witness to the stand. Time to get to work. Or shall I say time to walk the courtroom tightrope. So we can't press him at all, ever? Name and occupation. Ken Dingling, but everyone calls me Acro. I'm employed as an acrobat at the Berry Big Circus. Where were you the night of the crime? I was in my room that night. If you look at the map, you will see the witness's room is near the crime scene. My room is on the 3rd floor. The crime scene is below my window. The night of the crime, the witness saw something quite shocking. Would you tell us what you witnessed? Okay. It was just after 10 p.m., and I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Then, a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming. This witness's testimony matches up exactly with that of the clown. If that's the case, there is very little the prosecution need to add. All that's left is to explain how the defendant disappeared into the skies at night. Before we get that far, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. A foolish choice by a foolish fool who wishes to feel the foolish sadness of a sad fool. A man must know the proper timing for things, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Just like your old friend, Mr. Miles Edgeworth, did. Mr. Wright, do you have a problem with the witness's testimony? In the words of Miss Von Karma, may I quote yesterday's proceedings? There's no way that actually happened. Very well. You may proceed with your cross-examination. We need legit evidence. It was just after 10 and I was resting in my bed. Okay, so we gotta go through everything. So we have the crime photo there, sure. We've got Ringmaster's Papers, promo poster, already did that, Broken Bottle, already did that, Silk Cat, all that stuff. So it seems to me Leon's gonna come up eventually. Money the Monkey might come up, but his part's kind of done already because he took the ring. And then we just got the circus map. Mo, first floor, Acro, third floor. So if he flew from there, then yeah, he could have been seen. So I hope that the map doesn't actually come up. Because whenever the map is a thing, and it's like you have to find a problem with the map, I can't do that shit at all. Like, they pull that in Danganronpa, and they pull that in Zero Escape, and it's like, dude, there's no way that I can make heads or tails of any sort of map. And like, oh, wait, but the map's, like, hiding something, or it's different than what we previously thought. Like, that would miss me a million years time. I would never figure that out. Time of death, 10:15. Blunt force trauma. Hunched over this 20 pound. Oh, but yeah, the box and the seasoning bottle have to come in. At some point. As does the note. The photo and the bust. Why is the bust gone? Maybe the bust was the murder weapon. Seems like it would be pretty heavy, though. I don't know. I don't know how any of this contradicts any of the stuff that he's about to tell me. 10 p.m. resting in my bed. So, like, we can't... Let me just see if I press and, like, see what happens. You said that you were resting in bed. One would thus assume that you turned the lights off in your room, correct? That's correct. But there are safety lights around the outside of the lodging house. It's so bright, sometimes it can make it hard to sleep. If that's the case, wouldn't it be a good idea to close some curtains? I never really thought of that. I guess that means I'm off to buy some curtains. Haha. Sometimes I do make myself useful in these chambers. Oh! The witness will proceed with his testimony. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. That's consistent. Your room is on the 3rd floor, right? Yes. And you said that you were resting in bed? That is correct. But you were still able to hear a sound from outside? I was indeed. Pressing acro doesn't seem to get results. But maybe something was contradictory in what he said just now. He was in bed, but he heard a sound. I don't think there's anything wrong. But we'll try it. There is a huge contradiction with the testimony that was just Dude, no there isn't. No, there is not. If there's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence. She's right. Let's see some evidence. Do you have any evidence to support your claim of a contradiction? They're using such basic dialogue that, like, this is not gonna work. Monkey takes care of Acro. Like, I don't even need to look through this. Like, this isn't good. This is nothing at all. No, I don't. Just present what? Present anything that, like, might... What in the world is this? Yeah, exactly. So let's be trying that differently. Alright, heard a large thump, so we're not pressing that. Then a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. Now this is the thing we can press, because this is what we already know can't be true. Or it can't be... that it can't be Max Galactica, at least. Are you sure it was a human being? It could have been a mannequin, or perhaps a large action figure. Well, setting aside the possibility of a mannequin, an action figure is plausible. You have no need to mince words with Mr. Phoenix Wright. Testify to the truth, and only the truth, just as if we were there with you that night. I believe it was a human. Damn, I just strengthened his testimony. I wonder if Acro's statement jives with the facts. There's nothing wrong with that. So we have to press each statement and then derive a contradiction from the thing he says after that? That's gonna be a little tougher. What's the matter, Mr. Wright? Nothing, Your Honor. Until I can find a clear contradiction, I should tread lightly. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. The light in your room was turned off then, right? That's true. I was going to bed after all. So with the lights off, you were still able to clearly see a human fly by your window. The safety lights lit things up enough for me to see. But honestly, there was only enough light for me to see the silhouette outside my window. It was the person's back, so I couldn't see the white roses on the front. Did you see any of the other symbols? I clearly saw the silk hat, as well as the cloak wrapped around his body. I'm convinced that the person I saw was Max Galactica. The more I press him, the less results I seem to get. But maybe there was something fishy with his latest bit of testimony. Well, yeah, he didn't see the white roses. There was a huge yeah, okay, same dialogue. Let's try it. Obviously, the max is for 3 famous symbols here. Damn it. What do you want me to do? Someone flying. We already tried that. To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming. Let's try pressing that. When did you start thinking that what you saw wasn't a dream? That's not important. I believe that the prosecution has done a bit of maintenance on the witness's memory. Just to make sure, let's ask the witness. Oh! Objection! Sustained. Don't sustain that! Acro must be lying about what he saw, right? Of course he is. Now the challenge will be to expose his lies in court. Well, put the pedal to the metal, Nick. Dude, what the hell am I supposed to do with any of this? He talks about the safety lights coming on. There's nothing about that. Crime photo, circus map. Yeah, this doesn't say anything about any, like, you know, like, was the circuitry off or, like, you know, cords being missing or anything like that? Nothing there. Wait, he said he saw the... Oh, there's the contradiction! Okie dokie! Found it. Alright, saw someone flying. It was Max Galactica. We pressed this. It was turned off, that's true. The silk hat was found at the crime scene, so he couldn't have been wearing it as he was flying away. Yes, clearly saw the silk hat. That's the lie. That's the lie! Ooh, there's a contradiction. Yes I do. You claim to have seen the exact same thing Mo saw that night. Do you stand by that? What do you mean? The silk hat! What about the silk hat? I saw it on Max's head as he flew by my window. Well, you should have tried looking down out of your window that night. That would have been quite difficult considering the state that I'm in. Just looking outside of the window was a tough enough challenge for me. That's a shame, because you would have noticed the silk hat found on the scene. That's the ringmaster's hat, right? Afraid not. No matter how you look at it, this is Max's silk hat. Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright? Are you saying that Max has 2 silk hats? No, this is a handmade, one-of-a-kind model made only for Maximilian Galactica. Which means, Acro, that you've been fibbing on the stand. Order, order. As always, it looks like someone just had to open their mouth before thinking. Are you okay, Nick? Well, I opened my big mouth, and now I have to back it up. How about it, Mr. Wright? What would cause this witness to commit perjury in this court today? He actually doesn't seem to have a grudge against Max. Acro is the real culprit. That's what we're going for, right? Because Mo even specifically comes in here and is like, you know... Your Honor! On this occasion, the defense accuses Acro himself. On this occasion... accuses Acro? What in the world are you accusing him of? Obviously, we accuse him of the murder of Mr. Russell Berry. Mr. Wright, are you serious? Deadly serious, Your Honor. I think your trips to the circus have served you well. You seem to have learned how to try and grab at an audience's hearts and minds. Your Honor, don't allow yourself to be swayed by theatrics. Trying to wow the crowd with smoke and mirrors is the oldest bluff in the book. Really? If you don't believe me, just look at the witness. He's calm enough for it to almost be scary. He is staying rather calm and collected. Mr. Dingaling. That's probably not how you're supposed to say it, but I'm saying it like that anyway. Do you have any response to the defense's accusation? I don't really need to say a thing, do I? What do you mean? Everyone, take a good look at me. I can't even stand up by myself, let alone leave the lodging house. That's true. I understand that Mr. Wright is just trying to help his client. But to do this by accusing me of a murder of all things... See, even a sliver of common sense makes it clear the accusation is ludicrous. Oh man, she's right, it is. Yeah, way to pick on the disabled, you heartless, cruel man. Oh, Phoenix is a poopy head. Oh man, let's get him canceled off Twitter. See that, Mr. Phoenix Wright? If you're trying to drum up support from the peanut gallery, that's how you do it. I think that's enough of this little game. I've got a doctor's note to confirm that Acro is unable to stand under his own power. Maybe the defense is planning on making a claim to counter this as well? I can hear the defense now. Acro had an accomplice! What do you say about this, Mr. Wright? Did Acro have an accomplice? Do we think he had an accomplice? I don't think he had one. Maybe. It's impossible for Acro to be the murderer in this case. If that's the case, then it's natural for one to consider possible accomplices. You don't say. Not good, not good. This isn't going to end well. Don't tell me you think you're going to get off easy. What? You must not have heard that sound just now. Maybe it wasn't clear enough. The sound of you falling into your own trap can be hard to notice sometimes. Mr. Wright, it seems as if you won't be stopping at Acro, but will be making other accusations. If Acro did not have an accomplice, things are not looking good for you. I understand, Your Honor. Very well, let's continue. Who, perchance, would happen to be Acro's accomplice? Dude, I don't fucking know. I don't know. Let's look at the facts, alright? Go one at a time. It's not Max. They would never put a situation in which our client is actually guilty. I mean, Trilo has an alibi. And Ben, they both do. Like, they were specifically in their own thing going on. Now, Russell Berry didn't do anything. Mo... We didn't really prove that any of what he said was correct. But also, the fact that the victim flew is something that you would not make up had you not seen it. So Mo has an alibi. You know who doesn't have an alibi is Regina Berry. Because these two were waiting for Regina the entire time that night, but she never showed up. You know, he was gonna give her the ring, and then Money was taking the ring, and then, like, you know, they ended up, and then they never saw Regina. They never said, they didn't end up giving it to her. You don't say. Uh-oh, this is suddenly looking very, very bad. Don't tell me you think you're going to get off easy. What? Oh, did you hear that? Hear what? Sound of you getting caught in your own trap. Okay. What a splendid accomplice! I'm sure this accusation is built on a solid foundation. Foundation? Yes, Mr. Wright. Do you have any proof that this person you've accused was indeed an accomplice? Dude, they're being so vague on purpose so that, like, you really have to hone in on your shit. I don't have... I do have... Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? This piece of evidence is lacking in persuasive power. You didn't miss that sound, did you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? You know, the sound of you receiving a penalty! Ugh. What are you doing, Nick? Okay, we're gonna say he didn't have an accomplice. Perhaps I've been grasping at straws this whole time. Now then, this must be when we get to hear the name of the mystery accomplice. Not this time, Von Karma. What? You're not going to sucker me into this one. Oh, well, now I feel bad. What are you blabbering about, Mr. Wright? There was no accomplice. Acro planned and committed this murder all by himself. Order! What are you getting at? Way to keep them on their toes, Nick. Now I'm going to have to prove how it all fits together. I have to show how Acro murdered Russell Berry. Can you do it, Nick? Can you really do that? I know what I can't do. I can't stop now. If I stop attacking, I'm doomed. Alright, then let's do it. Mr. Phoenix Wright. If this witness is the killer, then his eyewitness account is all lies, right? Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear something up for me. When the crime was committed, exactly where was Mr. Dingaling? He would have had to have been here. Somebody flew away. Cause like now I was thinking like, well maybe Acro just literally like dropped something off. Oh, no. I was gonna say like he could have dropped that 20-pound trunk on his head. But then the dude was laying like on top of the trunk. So like this was not a situation where he, you know, threw something out the window and like bashed him in the head with it. It couldn't be. There's only one pair of footprints. But then why weren't there If there's no footprints, then I don't understand. Cause okay, let's say he flew. Like he flew the whole time? Okay, look. This dude's a trapeze artist, so are we trying to say that he was never actually on the ground? So he just like did his little trapeze and like had some kind of, you know, weapon with him, or I don't know. But like he's still hunched over the box. I don't understand. I'm gonna say he was obviously here the entire time. That's Acro's room? Pretty simple, eh? Acro wasn't able to leave the lodging house by himself. In that case, there can be only one correct answer. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster. What? Are you nuts? What say you, Mr. Dingaling? It's an interesting theory. That's it? Considering that what you proposed is impossible, yes, that's it. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. As the witness has stated, your assertion is impossible. As he is in a wheelchair, there is no way he could go to the scene or be the killer. You've got a point. It seems you've forgotten once again, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The defendant was clearly spotted at the scene of the crime. That's true. Mo said that he saw Max, didn't he? But Maya, it's still impossible for humans to fly. Do you mind if I ask a question, Mr. Wright? What is it? I understand some of your logic. However, how do you think that I killed him? If I can't leave my room, I obviously couldn't wear Max's costume. How did he do it? That's the next course of this legal buffet. Be careful, Nick. If you mess up here... Oh, that's the cue to save. She's right. I can't mess up here. I've got to give this one some serious thought. I'm sure that Acro killed the ringmaster, and he did it while he was in his room. No doubt about it. Time to enlighten us as to how Mr. Dingaling committed the crime, Mr. Wright. I have to do it. I have to do something. I'm going to present some evidence. So what did Mr. Dingaling use to commit the crime of murder against Russell Berry? This is the part where we say it was the wooden box. That was hit over the head with Trilo. I think you should try again, especially before someone gets the chance to say something. Yeah, you're probably right. So as I was saying, this piece of evidence... Stop, wait, I say. Before you start over, you must be penalized. Damn. No doubt about it. What could he have used? There was no murder weapon at the scene of the crime. The only thing that was there was a wooden box and a silk hat. Unless the silk hat like some kind of bowling ball in it, which it didn't. Ooh, Ooh. But I have no idea how or why. That's the only problem with that. But it sure looks... This has to be relevant somehow. It has to be relevant somehow. What's that? A picture? It is indeed. The problem is with the item that's shown in the picture. Dude, we fucking nailed it. The bust? It's quite a large bust. And because it is life-sized, it is also very, very heavy. Heavy? Heavy enough to guarantee a certain death. Especially if it was dropped from a third-story window. Ah! See, this is how Acro was able to kill the Ringmaster. With the force of gravity and Maximilian Galactica's ample bust. Order, order. So you're saying the bust fell onto the Ringmaster? A rather simple crime. Even if you were stuck in a wheelchair, it would be incredibly easy to commit. How could you possibly wheel a wheelchair with something so heavy? It's impossible! Well, Acro is an acrobat. He should have more than enough upper body strength to carry something like the bust. Mr. Dingaling, how do you respond to these charges? Well, Acro's at a loss for words. He should be. He knows that I'm getting close to the truth. Well, 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 Acro. You can't run away from things like... Ow! I'd watch what I say if I were you, Mr. Phoenix Wright. What? Your Honor, the physical health of the witness is material to this case. I demand that we get proper testimony from the witness himself. Testimony, you say? Von Karma. She's just using this testimony as a ruse to stall for time. I don't think that's how you spell ruse. Yeah, that's not how you spell ruse, sorry. There is absolutely no need for such testimony. The defense has its version of the murder. The prosecution has the right to respond. The defense's objection is overruled. Why can't he see things my way once in a while? Mr. Dingaling, I'm sorry, but we need you to testify about your physical condition. If you have any doubts about your ability to testify, we can request expert testimony. The witness will have no problems. However, let's all be respectful towards him. Thank you. That woman will sink to any low to win a case. I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body from working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out of the window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the Ringmaster's head. Thus, it would be unrealistic for me to drop the bust on him, don't you think? I have no doubts in regards to this witness's testimony. It was impossible for him to lift the bust and stick himself out far enough to look. Not to mention that he could have not have known the location of the Ringmaster's head. A single false step would have led to an even more severe injuries. That's what I was thinking. What is your opinion on the matter, Mr. Wright? I'd still like to proceed with my cross-examination. He's simply stalling. It's shameful, really. Ugh, I can't let her get to me. I've got to focus. Well, so now I'm wondering if this is where money comes in, because he used some kind of shiny reflective surface to, like, see and, like, you know, properly sort of gauge where his stuff was. Suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body and only my legs were injured, true. However, lifting the bust and looking out of the window would have been impossible. Let's see about this. And why is that? Because if I were to do that, I'd end up falling out the window myself. I still haven't gotten much feeling back in my legs yet. So you couldn't have thrown that bust out the window. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. How long do you think your recovery will take? You have to remember that my nerves were severely damaged. I'm currently undergoing some extremely intensive rehabilitation, but it's still going to take a while before I'm back to 100%. Let me remind you of another very important point. If the witness was carrying the bust, he would not be able to see out below the window. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the ringmaster's head. Why do you say it would be impossible? Allow me to explain. You accept that if I was carrying the bust, I couldn't see out below the window. Thus, there is no way that I would know the location of the ringmaster's head. Well, I suppose you've got a point. Hey, Nick? Huh? What if you turned things around? Maybe if you think of it sort of like this. If he knew the location of the ringmaster's head, then he could drop the bust. That does make sense. If only I could prove somehow that Acro knew the location of the ringmaster's head without looking down. I think I've already explained things sufficiently. What do we have? If he could have known. Doesn't the note say where to meet him? 10 p.m. tonight at the Lodging House Plaza. But that doesn't... There's so many places he could stand around the plaza. Like, that doesn't narrow it down to a precise location. I will try the note, though I do not believe the note is conclusive enough. Though, it does bring up other avenues, so like even if we didn't get the exact location from that, this would lead us down a path of, like, him having motive at least. We could start talking about the motive and like come back to this later. Your Honor, that's still... Okay, never mind. Just kidding. Well, then I'm gonna try money. Really? You're blowing my mind here. There's pepper in the box. There is no trace of anything being sprinkled. Another thought I was having was like, if he like sprinkled pepper out the window randomly, and then was just waiting for the ringmaster to be like, what the fuck is that? And then he'd be like, oh, that's the location. I don't know. It's dumb. But, anyway. Damn. I really would have thought that, like, he trapezed himself out the window and, like... But I guess not. Although that still doesn't explain the flying. See the map. If that doesn't explain it... Okay, so he dropped the bust. Maybe the box was a marker? Oh, maybe the box was a marker! Oh, it totally was! Acro, you didn't really need to lean out the window, did you? What are you driving at, Mr. Wright? You already knew ahead of time where the ringmaster's head was going to be. Quite precisely, I may add. Your silly hinting at things is pointless, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Enough stalling. How about you show us some evidence? But I did such a good job hinting. Yes. Hurry up and explain things, Mr. Wright. Maybe you should take a look at this. The key point here is the wooden box. The same wooden box that the victim was found hunched over? The same. The question is, who placed the wooden box here? Who? When Ben and company saw the ringmaster, they didn't see him holding the box, which means that this wooden box was already placed at the scene of the crime. I have to admit that your theory makes a lot of sense. The moment that the bust came falling down was exactly the same moment that the ringmaster lifted up this wooden box. Which means that the answer to all these questions is now crystal clear. You mean... If the bust were to fall upon the point marked out by the wooden box, there would be no way that it could miss the head of the victim. No! Order! Order! This is unbelievable! Finally, some of these loose ends are starting to tie themselves up. Now I just gotta keep going, and there's only one way to go from here. Forward. So the next question I have is, who placed that wooden box at the scene? It was Mr. Dingling, of course. He connected it to a rope, and then all he had to do was lower it down. Ow! Allow me to whip some sense into you! Mr. Phoenix Wright! Ow! 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 The ringmaster's head could have been anywhere but he lifted the box! That's why the box was so specially made. Specially made? Indeed. It had the most peculiar feature. Was it specially made? A small but strong lock. The contents of the box, indeed, but... Show me this picture again. It's like exactly his size. Like, to the... I'm gonna say size, yeah. Like, he doesn't overlap it at all. The box was a remarkable size. Size? Exactly. I think you can tell from the picture that the wooden box was very large. To lift it up, one would have been required to squat, meaning that one would have had to have taken it up in both arms, right? Moreover, the box is quite heavy. It weighs in the neighborhood of 20 pounds. The box also has carrying handles on either side, doesn't it? That is correct. To lift up the box, you'd have to squat down. Which means that no matter who you are, your head would be in approximately the same place. Fool! Does he even bother to listen to me anymore? I've heard what you've had to say. I must admit, I'm shocked at your imaginative skills. Did you do it? Did you place this wooden box in the plaza? Mr. Wright may have a vivid imagination, but I could never have done what he's proposing. What? Mr. Wright, do you recall the original location of Max's bust? Of course I remember. It was on top of the table in the cafeteria. Then what happened to it? I'd like you to remember one important fact, Mr. Wright. I could not possibly leave the lodging house by myself. Ah, that means... You understand what I mean, don't you? I may very well have been able to drop the bust from my room. However, how would I have gotten the bust from the cafeteria to my room? This is where Regina comes in. He had her bring it to him. You see, Mr. Phoenix Wright, explain that! Don't forget, you said there was no accomplice. Ugh. Tell us exactly how the witness would have carried the bust from the cafeteria. Yep, we definitely have a problem here. But this is no place to get perplexed. I've got to get my wits about me and prove how things happen once and for all. All right, Mr. Wright, let's hear your explanation. How did the witness get the bust from the cafeteria back to his room? Here is the evidence that proves how he carried it. What do you think about this evidence, Miss Von Karma? What do you think about this evidence, Witness? What do you think about this evidence, Mr. Wright? Ow! Here's one from me, too. Maya, kick! Ow, 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 ow! And here I thought the bust was the deadly weapon. Or here I thought the bust was the deadly weapon. Shit. Alright, well, we have to save here because we didn't save before. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.